The idea was to bring these marginalized people into the forefront of mainstream society, force people to see what they normally turn away from. Everybody drives through the fields, but nobody stops to look at the people, really. So this was a way to give them a voice and really give them the opportunity and the platform to speak up when, they are not allowed to have that type of platform or really speak on the issues that are, really bothering them in the fields and the conditions and the hours and the wages. My initial idea was to just photograph their hands, simply because I didn't know if they would be okay with their faces being shown, because I didn't know, even though it was just for a class project, I didn't want to put them in any kind of situation with the danger of being deported. The more and more that I edited these photos, and it became apparent to me that they had to be in black and white because they conveyed the most feeling, not only to other people that I showed them to, but to myself, because I have relatives who have worked in the fields. My grandfather and my great-grandfather were all a part of the Bracero program. And through the program, they were able to come to the United States, got to travel all over the United States, picking a variety of fruits and vegetables. So that in itself, and living in Oxnard, which is surrounded by agriculture, sparked the idea of, going out to the fields and seeing what the struggle is like for the people who have to live that life day in and day out. So this project hopefully gives them an opportunity to, step into the light a little bit.
It has been a pleasure to work with the Ventura County Arts Council. Our chief curator brought to my attention a wonderful exhibition that was being curated by Craig Rosen, featuring the fantastic photography of Antonio Juarez and Ricardo Pallavicino. Something that really caught my attention immediately was the way that the exhibition was mounted in Ventura County, and the use of materials by Antonio to place the farm workers and their experience in the context of the actual frames of the cartons and on the wax cardboard. Additionally, it was wonderful to work with MICOP and reaching out not only on the south part of our coast down to Ventura, but northward up to Santa Maria. And we also got to work with the Centro Binacional, which has a home in Santa Maria, as a way to reach out to the Mixteco population there. That's our mandate, to reach our constituents, and these are our constituents. So it's been a wonderful education, learning about what more we can do to make that connection.
These people who have been marginalized as soon as they come into this country and kind of forgotten and shoved aside, it's very painful to see. Although I didn't experience it as much as they did, I did feel and I did experience a lot of the marginalization that happens being Mexican in this country. The idea behind the larger prints is so that you're face to face with them. You almost become equals at that point, right? So no longer is he just some random stranger picking strawberries that you may or may not take for granted. He is an equal to you. You are about the same stature, and he's almost life-size, so that creates something you cannot escape, right? If you walk by this print, you guys will make eye contact. And that was the goal of these larger prints, was to create a more personal touch. So anytime somebody comes from Mexico to the United States illegally, you lose some of your dignity when you get here. Whether it be, because of the society that we live in that marginalizes that type of individual, it becomes very difficult, right? You start secluding yourself from everything that's available in this country out of fear. So this project, in a way, was to help them regain some of their dignity, take them out of the shadows and bring them into mainstream society and make it more acceptable to be those things.
Niña, cuando yo muera, no llores sobre mi tumba. Cántame un lindo son, ay mamá. Cántame la sandunga. Toca el bejuco de oro, la flor de todos los sones. Canta la martiniana y mamá, que alegra los corazones. No me llores, no, no me llores, no.
Cuño yao incaño, dasiko koyo, gachibana, con da cuño nui, con inda cuñiño, con be ekoi, kwa e be ekun, kunjikun satata ono oyo, duko nyaba, duko oyo, duko nyaba anyo, nyo nasabi, dukunjicho, chakanita o.
Me da coraje que la voz de mis padres no sea escuchada y que muchos no puedan defenderse por no saber hablar el español. Que a los campesinos, a mis padres, sean tratados como esclavos y que no puedan quejarse. Me llena de coraje saber y ver cómo muchas veces se lastiman en el trabajo y no lo reportan para no descansar y no perder dinero.
She wore turtlenecks and baggy pants. She wouldn't smile for fear he would get jealous. In that house, I saw my mother crying. The same house where my mom and my siblings and myself gained freedom. She decided domestic violence would no longer be a part of her life. Today, my mother's smile is a ray of sunshine lighting up the sky between the clouds. She wears skirts and beautiful tops and flowers.
Es muy confuso. Bueno, al menos creo que para mí lo es. Cuando lo que estoy sintiendo no es lo que se supone que sienta o que deba de sentir, según mi religión, la sociedad o según lo que mi familia espera de mí. Pero yo siempre digo,
inira shastera ina ku sate utumi yakta inira talobera shara kachimura sha talobera shara kachimura ushi y hora de llegar a casa te olvidas de todos esos temas. Ve la sonrisa de un niño que hace hora te espera el plato en la mesa, que te hace sentir especial, no ignorado como afuera. Working under the sun, he thinks about his children's happiness and very full sacrifices in his heart. Working 12 hours a day, no breaks.
En un art studio que en esta vez nos han invitado Ventura County Arts Council, un mundo donde todos podemos existir y vivir con armonía, con amor y con justicia. Muchas buenas noches y muy gracias.
Porfirio Guitérrez, Indigena, Bengulasna. My name is Porfirio Guitérrez. I'm a descendant of native people, the Zapotecan from Teotitlan del Valle, the place of gods.
Like I said, same principle. If I were to weave these white right on top of it.
Having to work with various organizations or artists that support or anyone, like Ventura Arts Council, ACTA, with this project, MICOP, that's what strengthens this. That's what makes this type of art to stay alive. Carnegie Museum, that has given me an opportunity to, show the work, to work at the studio. with not that kind of support, there won't be these opportunities. Well, it is, to me, it's very important to reconnect with the Oaxaqueño culture here in Oxnard area. And it was very special for me. As I always said, it's not teaching, it's sharing. It's having that coming together and also learn from them. I think it's very important. Sometimes even just to talk about the work and be proud of who we are as Native, in my case, Zapotec, so it could be Mixteco, could be Chumash, could be any indigenous group around the world. I think bringing it to forefront of society and talk about and be proud of who you are, that brings an awareness, and that sometimes could inspire people. And especially when I see people that are indigenous, that I sometimes hear them talk about their culture, that inspires me. You know, how proud they are about their own culture, about their way of life.
As growing up, I remember is gathering the plants, minerals, and insects my parents used to use to color their weaving materials. As we hike up above the village, up on the hills, my parents would tell me stories about each dye plant and how these plants provide colors. At 12 years old, my father taught me how to weave. I remember one afternoon I sat down, my dad told me we needed to talk and we needed to sit down a little bit, and he explained to me the responsibility of being a weaver. He told me that my ancestors started this art form more than 2,000 years ago. And his commitment would keep creating or keep that tradition alive. And what he wanted to do is he wanted to inherit that to me and teach me how to weave. But he wanted me to understand the responsibility of being a Zapotec weaver. And that's where my journey began, with the threads, with the dyes, and the loom. And as the time passes, I start to weave more intricate designs, understanding more about the symbols, the color choice, color combination of on each design, the connection you have with the plants, with our Mother Earth. Through my pieces, I always like to express the spiritual connection that I have with the greater being, my ancestors, the way they overview universe. I always imagine that and relate that to my life today and the way I overview the universe I live in today. The sacred seed, corn and beans, lighted candles as an offering to those greater beings. It's always expressed in my work. The cycle of life, where each step represents each stages of our lives. The fertility symbols. Those are the connections I have with my ancestors. And in my work, to me, it's always need to be present. The symbols needs to tell the story of my ancestors in this modern world I'm part of today.
That I'm proud of who I am as Native Zapotec, and I talk about it, and I think people does sense that when I talk about my culture and the work, in a way of almost a celebration of human. And what I really appreciate, what I really like, it's the empowerment. My whole theory is empowering the community, not tell them what to do. It's always empowering them. So when I see these kind of opportunities, empowering this culture, this art, strengthen this art, giving a voice this art, giving a place to talk about the work, to show the work. That's how culture survives. That's how tradition survives and art survives.